Hey folks, I am here with my thoughts and reviews of Justice League. Justice League dropped this weekend, directed by Zack Snyder. And if you followed the story, due to a family death, Zack Snyder wasn't able to complete it. And so Joss Whedon, who directed the first two Avengers movies, basically stepped in to finish the project. So what you're seeing on screen is basically sort of a mix of both directors' visions. Yeah, I think with the Justice League review, I need to start with the things that I liked, and then I'm gonna go into the things that I didn't like, and that way we can get a more comprehensive view of what needs to happen in the DCU going forward. Okay, so let's talk about the things that I did like about Justice League. Gal Gadot. I actually had time to sit down and watch Wonder Woman last night, which was directed by Patty Jenkins, made over $800 million worldwide, and is actually the highest grossing movie from a female director, from a woman director. Yeah, I have to say I was a little reserved on Gal Gadot when she was first announced as Wonder Woman. I felt, come on guys, there are different actresses that you guys can look for in this role. But, you know, I thought she was cool in Batman versus Superman, so it was like, okay, let's see what we get in Wonder Woman. And I have to say that with Wonder Woman, she did impress me. I loved her relationship with Connie Nielsen, who plays her mother, Hippolyta, and also Robin Wright and Antiope, I think, who played her aunt. So I think with Wonder Woman, it was a solid DCU film. It was a good origins film. You know, you get to see Diana from when she's a little girl to when she's grown. You know, and then when she meets Steve Trevor and decides to go into the world of men, you know, to basically assist in World War One. It was good. I thought it was good. The scenes in Themyscira were beautiful. I thought it was lovely. So I thought, let me watch Wonder Woman before I watch Justice League. So coming from watching Wonder Woman and then watching Justice League today, yeah, Gal is that chick. So I think she's done a good job as Wonder Woman, and I think she was one of the best things in that movie. I love that they didn't just treat her like the chick. She was front and center whooping that ass, and I loved it. I thought it was great. All of her battle scenes with Steppenwolf were fantastic. And so she's definitely someone who can hold her own against any member on that team. So that's been established, and I'm glad that they did that. I was also, of course, in love with Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I think he's awesome. He just brings a certain energy. I have to say that out of the whole cast, it just seemed like, and just even from pre-production, and if you follow his Instagram with his training and, you know, shooting behind the scenes, you know, Jason Momoa just looks like he's having the time of his life. Like, he's just having so much fun, and I think you need that, right? If people are coming in to watch this movie, there's a certain energy that you need to bring into that. I mean, we're introduced to Aquaman. We've never really had a big screen version of him. We did on the smaller screen. I think they were trying, the CW was trying to do Aquaman show, and that fell apart. But I'm glad that they race bent Aquaman. In the comics, he is, you know, blonde hair, blue eyes. And to hire, you know, to cast Jason Momoa, who is from Hawaii, I believe. So he's, you know, Polynesian, right? Or is it Pacifica? I forget. I'm sorry. But yeah, I think it was a fantastic idea for them to race bend Aquaman. He looks like he belongs in that role. And honestly, I can't imagine I just can't even go back to a white, blonde hair, blue-eyed Aquaman after Jason Momoa. So Gal Gadot, yes. Jason Momoa, yes. I liked Ray Fisher as Cyborg. I wasn't sure what we were going to get with that, but, you know, it looks promising. I think on the slate for DC, we're supposed to have a standalone Cyborg movie. So I'm interested I'm a little bit more interested in that now after watching Justice League and watching Ray Fisher. And I appreciated the fact that Ray is that Victor Stone, or Cyborg, he isn't just, there's been a joke going around for years, and this is the comic version of, Cyborg, that people have just said that he was sort of like this intergalactic chauffeur where he's just good for, making boom tunes and just kind of, getting them around the universe, so to speak. And so glad that we did not see that in this big screen version of Cyborg. He's smart. He's really smart. He's tech savvy. And we know that the backstory is that he was a football player before his accident, before his injury. So he's not just this jock with all of this, with all this tech on him. He's got a brain too. So I really appreciated that depiction of Victor Stone, because we certainly don't have enough depictions of, smart black tech people. So yes, I like that. I thought he was cool in that role. So I'm looking forward to the Cyborg movie. So let's talk about what I didn't like about Justice League. On the top of my list, and there's things that, we'll talk into the narrative, the narration or the writing of the movie as well. But as far as the acting or the depiction of these characters, I just didn't enjoy Ezra Miller as Barry Allen at all. I mean, I know from what I'm hearing, there were focus groups and test screenings, and people seemed to love Ezra Miller the most because he was funny and snarky. At least that's what they said. So sitting down to watch Justice League, I was like, okay, well, let's see. I mean, if people are saying he's the breakout star of Justice League, I'm ready to be wowed. And I really was not impressed with this version of Barry Allen at all. It's just, I'm sorry. And people can be mad and they can throw a tantrum. But listen, Grant Gustin is 4 seasons in. Seasons in as Barry Allen in The Flash. So of course, I mean, for you to just sit there and act like people are not going to compare both of these performances is ridiculous and just naive and ignorant, quite frankly. So yes, I have to compare Ezra Miller's Barry Allen to Grant Gustin's Barry Allen. And of course, they're two different interpretations. We understand that the DCEU, as far as Warner's, they decided that the big screen version of these characters would be separate from the small screen characters. So, there's no way that Grant Gustin could have played Flash in this movie in this version of Justice League. But quite honestly, I mean, I was just watching Ezra Miller in that role, and I just really don't feel that he brought anything special or specific. If you're going to cast another actor to play the same character, then to me, I feel like, okay, it can be different, but it still needs to have resonance, and it still needs to be as good as the original one, right? So we've got Grant Gustin in this role on the TV side, Ezra Miller on the movie side, and I just was not here for it at all. I just didn't like it. I didn't think he was funny. I don't know. It was just like, I think the special effects for the Speed Force, for his running scenes, were great. But it just felt like, okay, Flash is going to be the comic relief of this whole group. Which actually, if you watch Justice League, the animated series, the version of the Flash they have is Wally West, right? So Justice League and Justice League Unlimited had their version of the Flash, and he was actually funny, even though that was Wally West. He was funny, and especially if you saw some of the episodes where he teams up with Green Lantern, because Jon Stewart is very serious and, he's a military guy and he's there to get the job done. And the Flash on the animated series he was hilarious. He was just really funny. But, when the time came, he really pulled through. I mean, listen, if you watch Justice League Unlimited, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, not here for Ezra Miller's version of the Flash. So that was a no, and that was a 0 for me. So next, Ben Affleck as Batman. Now, I liked him in Batman versus Superman. I was like, okay, this is our introduction to the 4th, 5th actor who's been playing Bruce Wayne Batman on screen. I thought that he was good. I thought, Ben Affleck, I was like, I wasn't offended by it. I don't feel that he did anything that was like, oh my God, this is not the Batman that we know. So I was cool with it. This Batman in Justice League, and specifically Ben Affleck's performance, was flat. It just didn't bring anything. It was just flat. I don't know. Like, I know that Batman is someone who's usually, more serious. He's not jokey. He's not, you know what I mean? But I just felt, I wish we had gotten a little bit more out of him. You know what I'm saying? Because, we've had comic writers who've, written excellent and amazing characterizations of Bruce Wayne and Batman. And I just didn't feel moved by that performance, or it didn't feel like there was anything specific about that performance from Ben Affleck that made it memorable, right? Okay. Henry Cavill as Superman, and there's no spoilers here because we know he's in the movie. I'm gonna say something. I actually was happy to see Superman back. I was happy to see Henry Cavill back in this role. And, the more I think about it, I do think that, and I'm in the minority of people that I liked Man of Steel. I had some issues with it, but I didn't think it was bad. I saw it in 2013. I wrote my review of it. And, I think there were some really good performances, and their characterization of Superman, Clark Kent, was not horrible. It was good. It was good. So, yeah, it was great to see him back. I know that Henry Cavill has gone on record saying that he's not been exactly happy, and at least this is what I got from the interview that he did. I have a feeling that Henry Cavill has not been exactly happy with the writing and characterization of Superman. And of course, that interview, somebody, took a snippet of the interview, posted it on Twitter. And then, of course, people were going crazy, and they were like, oh my God, how dare you, Henry Cavill, biting the hand that feeds you, blah, blah. And I just think that's bullshit. I think that Henry Cavill has a point, and I think that he has a right to that opinion, right? He's been trusted with this character, with this franchise, because when they hired Henry Cavill, it was with the intention of building the DCEU on him, right? So this version of the DCEU was not even built on Batman. It was Nolan's, last movie was like 3-4 years ago. They didn't build it on that. They built it on Man of Steel, and then they introduced Batman and Batman versus Superman. So yeah, Henry Cavill is sort of like the foundation of this current iteration of the DCEU, franchise. And so I think he has a right. He has a right to express his disappointment or his displeasure. And so I'm hoping that Man of Steel 2, I do think we need to have a Man of Steel 2. And I think that Warner should listen to Henry's concerns. I think he absolutely should. I think with better writing, the direction, Man of Steel could become a solid property for DCEU. So I would hope that they swallow their pride and just kind of see what they need to do to tinker with the Superman franchise. So yeah, liked Henry Cavill. Yeah, but overall for Justice League, I mean, we have a villain, Steppenwolf. If you're someone who doesn't read comic books and you are not familiar with the DCEU, that might be a bit of a challenge because, for a lot of people, the most iconic villains are Lex Luthor and, the guys from the Rogues Gallery, from Batman. Steppenwolf is someone, if you read comic books, you would know who he is, right? So, because when they announced it, I was like, I don't even know who this person is. But yeah, he's here. He's looking for the 3 mother boxes. And so we get this backstory where we find out that there was this war thousands of years ago, kind of like the wars to end all wars, right? And so it was the Atlanteans, the Amazonians, and actually human beings who all gathered together to, defeat Steppenwolf, and they all decided to each hide one of the mother boxes, right? And so the whole plot of this movie is they have to retrieve it. The Justice League has to retrieve these 3 boxes to save the Earth, right? Okay. Steppenwolf as a villain was just flat to me. He was just a regular run-of-the-mill villain, right? To be honest with you, when I watched Justice League, it reminded me, and of course this is no coincidence, it reminded me of Age of Ultron in a lot of ways. Like, there were times where I just was feeling deja vu. I was like, why do I feel like I've seen this before? Oh, Age of Ultron. I had the same complaints with Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron is one of my least favorite Marvel movies. I was just not here for it at all. And, you know, Ultron, who's the villain in that movie, I mean, yeah, he was funny. He had his little sarcasm, but I mean, ultimately it just didn't work for me. I thought James Spader's voiceover for Ultron was fantastic. I loved it. But otherwise, he just didn't work as a villain for me. It was flat. Goodbye. And so Steppenwolf sort of is the same way for me in Justice League. I just felt like there's just no reason why I should care what he does. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're here to take over the world. Ah, blah. Okay, great. We've seen this before. Next. So yeah, that didn't work for me either. Villain didn't work for me. Batman didn't work for me. The special effects and the CGI were heavy in this movie. I mean, it is what it is. I've had a problem with as far as Batman versus Superman and Justice League. I just feel like a lot of some of the CGI, it just takes away from the storyline, and my eye is just not, I'm not catching it. You know what I mean? It's not holding my attention. Wonder Woman, which had some CGI, but not a lot. I felt Wonder Woman, at least, you know, from a cinematic point of view, was more artistic. It was beautifully shot, right? So with Justice League, I don't know what look they're going for, but I'm hoping that when they have the sequel for Justice League 2, you know, that there will be an idea, like this is how we want this movie to look, for it to look different from the other DCEU movies. So, you know, there's a lot of debate online right now. People, I think currently, Justice League is somewhere at like 44% on Rotten Tomatoes, or up to 50, I forget. So there's been a lot of talk and a lot of feelings about this movie. You know, there's the talk that critics are too rough on the DCEU and that they just love to hate on these movies. They're just like, you know, there's this idea that critics are biased towards Marvel and they just hate DC movies, period, which I don't know. I'm not really sure. I mean, they gave Wonder Woman a 92% critics approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, so I don't know how you can be biased as a film critic if you're giving them 92%, right? And I keep coming back to Wonder Woman because to me, it seems that Patty Jenkins has the right idea, right? Out of what all the other boys are doing with their toys, with the other, you know, Suicide Squad, Batman vs. Superman, Justice League, Patty Jenkins seems to have a specific vision, which I like, right? So I feel that, I don't know if they're going to call Zack Snyder back, if Zack Snyder is going to come back, you know, to do Justice League 2. Please don't bring back Joss Whedon. That is for sure. No, you got to go. And the other person that I think needs to go as far as the DCU, they need to let go of Chris Terrio. Chris Terrio wrote the screenplay for Batman vs. Superman, and he co-wrote the screenplay for Justice League. And I just do not enjoy his writing at all. I just do not feel that he has a specific grasp and feel for these characters. He does not give them inner light, you know, he doesn't give them interior lives. We don't really know what they're thinking. A lot of it is exposition. They tell us what they think, but there's nothing, you know, really deep or complex. I mean, Wonder Woman, I think, did a better job with that. But yeah, I think that Patty, out of the group, she has the right idea. She has the Wonder Woman franchise. She's very specific on her vision of Wonder Woman, and I appreciate that. James Wan is directing Aquaman. I think we're going to get something special with Aquaman. I think that Wonder Woman and Aquaman, those movies are the ones that are going to move DCEU into the right direction that it needs to go into. You have to have a vision. It's not enough to just throw these superheroes on the screen. Of course, yeah, there's supposed to be that fan moment where it's like, oh my God, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, they're all together on the screen. And yeah, that's cool, as it should be, because that's what we're paying money for, right? Is the payoff. But yeah, I feel like if they are going to do a Justice League sequel, I kind of want the franchise to go to someone else. I kind of want somebody who understands all of these characters and gives them more dimension, more depth. I would like to see that, right? And just like the chemistry of the team working together. I don't know. There's directors out there. There's women directors out there for sure, and women directors of color that they could, see who'd want to take over the franchise. But yeah, I mean, I think the thing that when I look at Justice League, I feel like it's a platform where they can only get better at this point, because the ending of the movie basically sets all of these different characters up on their journey and their respective, either sequel or origin movies, right? So we know we're getting the Aquaman movie. We know we're going to get Wonder Woman 2. Batman is up in the air. Oh boy. Matt Reeves has signed on to do the Batman movie. Originally, Ben Affleck was supposed to write and direct it and star in it, but because of personal reasons, he's opted not to do it, at least direct the movie. So they brought Matt Reeves on. He's been talking about, a new vision. He's just stuff he's been saying, and I've just been reading between the lines. And the feeling for a lot of fans and people who've been following this is that I don't think Ben Affleck is going to be coming back. At least I should say, I don't know that Ben Affleck is going to do the franchise, the Batman reboot. For the franchise. I'm not sure. I don't know. There's rumors that they're looking at Jake Gyllenhaal, which I love Jake Gyllenhaal. Yes, I do. I just don't see him as Bruce Wayne Batman. That's another story. I don't see it. But yeah, I think that they can get better. I feel like from Justice League we can get better. I think the Justice League 2 will be better. I think the Wonder Woman is in good hands. I think James Wan is going to do something really cool with Aquaman. It's been announced that there will be a Deathstroke movie, which I am actually very excited about. I want to see that. I know Joe Manganiello, he was originally cast when they were going to do the Batman movie with Ben Affleck. Then we weren't sure what was going to happen when Matt Reeves came on board. So they've decided to give Deathstroke his own movie. I think Joe is going to be fantastic in that. And I think that will be an interesting movie. We've got DC Gotham Girls that's supposed to be coming out. Is that Joss Whedon that's attached to it? Oh, God, Lord. Yeah, and so, and I think we're supposed to get a Suicide Squad 2 movie. But I am not going to give up hope on the DCEU. I think there just needs to be a little bit more organization, because they're just throwing a lot of things at the wall and trying to figure out what's going to stick, right? Because they've got a lot of projects, a lot of movies that they're trying to get out, by 2020, and I would just really like them to really find smart and talented directors for each respective franchise that respect the character and respect the fans, right? So I feel like Wonder Woman is doing a good job with that. Man of Steel, again, if we get a sequel, I would love to see, I don't know if Zack Snyder's coming back, but if he's not, I would love to see another director take a whirl at it. Again, I would love to see a woman director take that over. So yeah, I think, instead of trying to look over their shoulders, I mean, the funny thing is, I am a DC girl. Though those were the comics that I read. I read way more DC comics than I read Marvel comics. And I think that DC has some of the most amazing characters and amazing storylines, amazing writing on the comic side. So I would really just love to see that reflected in the live action franchises. Again, I watched, a lot of DC animated is killing the game. Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited. I have the DVD collection. I watch it. I've actually been revisiting the Superman, the animated series on Amazon. I think I'm on season 3. So I felt like the animated series of these characters, Batman, Superman, all of them, the writers really understood what made these characters special. And so I'm wondering, maybe with the live action division, maybe bring in some people like, I don't know. I mean, unfortunately Dwayne McDuffie has passed away, and that kills me, because I'm just like, oh my God, if he was here to work on a live action Superman movie, that would just be bananas, right? So I don't know if maybe they need to mine some of the creators from the animated side to work on the live action version. I don't know. I'm not sure if that could bring something, but I think DC has potential. I think what I got out of Justice League is that while I didn't love it, it was okay, but I see that there's potential there. I see that there is potential there. Minus Ezra Miller as the Flash. I just already know that I'm not here for him, and I just don't know if I'm going to be able to sit through a Flash movie, because to my knowledge, they're still looking for a director, and they haven't found one. So I would just say to people, go see Justice League, make up your mind for yourself, see if you like it or not. Out of a 10, I would give Justice League a 7. I would give it a 7. It's better than Batman versus Superman. That is for damn sure. It still needed some work. There were some things that were just wonky. It just didn't work for me. One of my big things is that I just did not understand why they killed Superman in Batman versus Superman. The death of Superman was just too soon to bring into Batman versus Superman, because they used that as motivation for Batman to create the Justice League. And I feel like with the threat that they had fighting in Batman versus Superman, that would have been motivation enough. You didn't need to kill off Superman. So I felt like that was just wasted time that they could have used in Justice League to build on Bruce's and Clark's relationship, right? Needed to do that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about Justice League. Do you think that the critics are too harsh on this specific movie, and in general, are they just harsher on, DC movies in general? I don't know. All I know is that I like what I like. When you give me a movie that I like, then I'll give you a good review. And if you don't, then I got to do my job and tell you, no, this is not it. So yeah. In the comments below, let me know, what did you think of Justice League? See you guys later. Bye.